I'm Kat Jones from Stop Climate Chaos Scotland. Here's the second video around COP26, how to get involved and a bit of background. So if you want to watch the other one, that's around what COP is and what to expect. This one's about how to get involved and what we're planning on doing. So Stop Climate Chaos Scotland is a coalition of over 50 civil society organisations, and we've been working together on climate change for about 13 years. So around COP itself, we are mobilising across the whole of civil society, including the Climate Coalition, our sister organisation in England, and the COP26 Coalition, which is a group of activists and grassroots groups and NGOs coming together around COP to organise things. So I hope this will give you an idea of how you can get involved. So I'm going to share my screen now. Great. So how you can get involved and what all the things that we know are going on. So it's fair to say that when it comes to COPs, everybody gets involved in doing things. So what I'm saying here is really only the things that I know are happening, that I'm involved in. But that is not to say that there are not hundreds of other things happening that you can get involved in as well. And what we'll try and do is on the Climate Fringe website, put all those opportunities together in one place so that we can find out, and it's a good place to find out what's going on. So let me start with a little bit about what our aims are at Stop Climate Chaos Scotland. As I said, we're working with others, with the COP26 Coalition, with TCC, with other groups to make sure that when global civil society comes to Glasgow, they've got the places to meet, the physical places, the platforms, the online platforms and things that makes them be as effective as possible during COP. And that also includes providing accommodation for people in folks' homes. We hope to have very, very shortly be launching an accommodation platform online for people to get involved with, to sign up for their spare room, their spare couch, and those kind of things. And secondly, we really want to support and build the climate movement in Scotland, both in Glasgow and also throughout the country, because we feel that COP itself shouldn't be a thing that just comes into Glasgow and leaves. We need people to get involved. We want a legacy. We want to make those connections between local activists and international activists. We want to build enthusiasm and build real foundations for change in Scotland. So what's the story then? Well, with Glasgow and COP coming to Glasgow, we've got an incredible story to tell. You know, the sort of thought of what started here ends here. And this is because Glasgow, of course, as the second city of the empire, was a place that was sending ships loaded with machinery, with engines, with all sorts of things. And of course, the steam engine was invented in Glasgow, or rather the improvement to the steam engine that led to the huge industrial growth was invented in Glasgow by James Watt while walking in Kelvingrove Park. And you can see in the bottom right, the docks in Glasgow. Now on the right is, you can see the shape of what is now the Science Centre, that peninsula sticking out. And on the left, this area has been infilled and is now the SEC. So you can see that COP itself is actually coming to this very historic place that was at the centre of the Industrial Revolution. And of course, in Glasgow, we're talking about wealth that was built up through us being a colonial nation. A lot of our names of our streets are named after colonies or slave traders. And so we've got that legacy to be working with as well as we're thinking about what we want to achieve here in Glasgow. Of course, Glasgow as well is an incredibly friendly, welcoming place. We're fantastic at doing events. You can see in the top right, the Celtic Connections Festival. We've got a tradition in Scotland of Ceilidh, which is bringing people together to tell stories, to songs, and gather around a central hearth, which of course has evolved into these wonderful big dances and things that you get at weddings. And we really want to bring that kind of feeling of togetherness and sharing and open mic into the civil society spaces in COP, where everyone feels welcome wherever they're coming from. Of course, we've also got the festivals, Edinburgh Festival being really famous, and the Edinburgh Fringe, and that's where we got the inspiration for our website, the Climate Fringe, which is where everybody is welcome to be putting on an event and share it on our website. There's no curation of those, you know, it's like the Edinburgh Festival Fringe. If anybody wants to do an act, you know, nobody judges whether it's art or not, you can just stick it on the Fringe. And also we've got this tremendous history of social movements in Glasgow and Scotland, and on the bottom left you can see this is one of the rent strikes. Mary Barber from Govan was one of the women who was one of the leaders of that movement, which was very, very successful. And also we've got history of connections with Chile through the work of the people in the Rolls-Royce factory, East Kilbride, who refused to work on the engines of Pinochet's aeroplanes, which you'll know about from the film No Pasaran. So we've got this wonderful story to tell. What we are asking for as civil society is that what started here in that industrial revolution ends here in that place, SEC on the banks of the Clyde, to make a new chapter in how we are living together and how we have a planet that we can live on into the future. So here's a little map of the site. You can see that COP itself in the bottom left is at the SECC with the Science Centre, which will be the green zone, the open to the public zone, the other side of the river. In terms of our headquarters, the nerve centre for what's going on in civil society, we're going to be using the Kinning Park complex, which is right next to Kinning Park Underground Station, very, very accessible, and around a 15-minute walk from the Science Centre. There'll be meeting rooms there, there'll be space for chatting, and there'll be hot desks. It'll also have a centre where we can do media interviews and things like this, and it will be open to all of civil society to take part in that. We are working really, really closely with the COP26 coalition to make sure that that is filled with international activists and all the people who need a space to work. We're also going to be looking for other spaces, because I'm sure we'll overflow from there for hot desks, for meeting rooms and things like that. The Arts Yard at the other end of Glasgow is also quite close to the underground route, and that will be a space for the artivists. And we hope to fill that with people making sculptures, banners, things for mobilisations, things to get visually across to COP what's going on. And also a place for music and dancing in the evenings, and a place to create samba band practices and all the kind of things that you need to give a real oomph to your mobilisations around the middle weekend, if that's when it's happening. Adelaide's is a space for events. It's got live streaming, so that will be a headquarters for doing anything that's to do with events that we want to get out on the internet to other people, and we'd love to connect all around. We'd like to have live streams of all of our work and also what's happening at COP itself on the Climate Fringe website, so people can connect in wherever they are, in perhaps their village hall or their town hall, connect in with what we're doing online, but also do your own activities. And then in the town there'll be all sorts of other things going on that I'm not sure what's going to happen yet, but I know that the City Council and the Scottish Government are both planning things. And there'll inevitably be things being organised by lots of other groups. So we've created Climate Fringe as a space for people to highlight their events. We're really encouraging any event that's going on between now and COP for you to upload it on our website. It doesn't matter if it's just a chat around, let's say, the kitchen table, or an online kitchen table around COP with a few people in your local community, or whether it's a giant event that you hope will have a huge impact. One of the key things we'd like to do, and we'd like to encourage people to do, is think about what you can do between the 18th and the 26th of September, because that will be a focus week of activities called Climate Fringe Week. We're doing it to coincide with New York Climate Week, when a lot of the world leaders head to New York and they have very important talks ahead of COP, and we want to use that week as an opportunity to put pressure on them. And secondly, it's the same week as the Climate Coalition, our sister organisation down south, will be running their Great Big Green Week. So we really want the whole UK to be buzzing with activities to do with COP and climate. What we really want to happen for Glasgow, our priorities are that we want to make Glasgow a warm and welcoming place. I mean, Glaswegians, I've lived in Glasgow now for nearly 25 years, and it's been the most welcoming, wonderful place to live. And I want that warmth to be put across to people, a real multicultural welcome as well from our own multicultural communities. We want to make sure the voices who are most affected by the climate emergency are brought to the fore, and we need to work out how we do that, in the sense that some people may not be able to travel to COP. So how do we do it online? How do we get those voices from all over the world and funnel them through into COP itself? And we want to make sure we're linking inside and outside COP. And we hope that the Climate Fringe might do that to some extent, because there will be activities that are going on inside COP there as well as outside COP. So we hope that people who are using that website, who've got badges, might stray out to other activities that are happening outside of the COP. And really, for us in Glasgow, most of all, it's so important for us to link local activists to the global movement and get a sort of real sense of encouragement and movement in that direction. So if you want to find out how to get involved in COP, there's a bit of a summary of all the things that I've just mentioned on our website. So to go into a little bit more detail about hosting an activist in your home, we're going to launch in a few weeks a hub online where you can sign up to host an activist. And we're also looking for people, if you've got time, to help with the organising. There are some working groups that are run through the UK COP26 coalition, which would love you to take part in. So the one that I take most part in is the culture working group, because I'm working on the arts and culture elements, but also the Glasgow local group, and would also encourage you to join the logistics working group, because there's loads of work to be done there around logistics for COP. And a couple of extra things, we're going to be looking for volunteers, so look out for those calls, sign up to our mailing list, and we'll make sure that we keep you in the loop. And if you've got a local community hall or faith space that you think would be interested in hosting activity around COP, then get in touch as well. So finally, one thing that I haven't mentioned yet is that we will have green maps being created in Glasgow. So if you're in Glasgow, look out for this. You'll be able to map all the local things that you love in your area, perhaps sustainable food, local community gardens, transport routes and things that will help visitors to COP when they come. So lastly, I want to say thank you very much. And please do visit the website climatefringe.org to find out more information.